Cam, that is. Oh, you think we'd forget over the weekend? No. Anticipation is building.
I kind of like it as the Baba Booey box, I gotta say. It's like the producer voice coming in like Booey on the Stern Show. It's solid that way.
All right, Awesemo, here we go. It's your old pal EMac coming to you on Sunday Night Football. We were here just 24 hours ago. We've got Nick Lepri in the house. We've got T McBee in the house. We were a 1v1 with our Yahoo lineup away from taking the whole thing down. Rinpack got us. We still had a nice cash. I think it was like $15. I think I got $50 for it. It was pretty solid. The difference was we had Cole Beasley, and the winning lineup had Kendrick Bourne of all people. So
that's
rats, right. Big hairy ones.
Yeah, all three of the ones I put in. I put in that alternate one where I said if I had put Mac Jones at captain, I would have gone with Damian Harris in the lineup. So I used that one, it cashed, and then I used a different iteration of the one we created. But I guess I missed that Kendrick Bourne one.
Yeah, it was kind of fun watching those. So yeah, we had a nice little run there. I've got of course got my eye on a couple. Yeah, we got my eye on a couple things here. Everything else has been falling apart. Whatever we thought was going to happen, it didn't. But it looks like the Cowboys are making this a game. It's 23-17, which of course means our viewership will be down a little bit because people are going to be watching that. But we've got about 75 of you in here. We're going to get started here in just a moment. Let's see if we can get that on up to 100 people. Appreciate it. Already got 20 likes. That is pretty helpful. So thank you for doing that. We, of course, will build out our lineups for Yahoo, FanDuel, DraftKings, and do some prize picks. We've got some fun out there with Odd Shopper. I was playing around with the Parlay Builder. It happened to be the only sportsbook I've signed up for is the DK one, and they happen to be giving $10 back each day if you do a same game parlay for $10 or more. So I did that. If you have not yet put your entries into Prize Picks, they are offering the same deal. If you do a contest, NFL only, that for the players that are played today, so we could still do that for tonight's game, they'll give you a $10 refund. So your first bet is basically free for $10 over there on Prize Picks. You can also get $100 deposit match by using the promo code Awesemo. And when you sign up using the promo code Awesemo, that will also earn you 30 free days of Awesemo premium content. We will get that hooked up for you as well. All right, let's meander on in here. This will be likely Ben Roethlisberger's last game. Nothing's official, but it has 12-point underdogs in a loser go home game. It looks like this could be it, but of course there is a reason why they play them. We've got the Steelers 12.5 underdogs on the road. Kansas City, obviously double-digit favorites at home. Shouldn't really worry about the weather too much. Gosh, we thought there would be some cold weather last night. Didn't seem to impede the scoring. Little bit of again, why they play the games. So we're gonna have some fun here. But Terry, anything from the top here? What is your initial take on the elbow, the hyperextended elbow for Najee Harris? He's not on the injury report. The toe issue for Darrell Williams, he's not on the injury report. And then the sore heel that surprisingly curtailed most of our hopes and dreams last weekend with Tyreek Hill. Any worries about any of them not being a full go? My worry is Tyreek is not healthy.
I mean, I guess that's some kind of lingering thought based on what happened the last time around, but he wasn't on the injury report through the week. He's, if it's sore, it's not keep me out of the game, keep me on the sidelines kind of sore. It doesn't seem like anyway, right? Maybe does that impact if they're up a few scores? Is he going to be on the field through the entire fourth quarter or anything like that? I could see that being a factor here, certainly if he's a little bit sore. But most of these guys, I'm just taking if they're on the field, this is the playoffs, they're going to be full go. If they're in pain, they're probably, unfortunately, doped up with something and shot up so that they're not feeling it for the next few hours. And they're going to be out there playing, and they're going to be playing their usual roles and playing hard. So Darrell Williams was the guy I had my eye on all day. He was the important status piece, and we got the confirmed news that he's going to be full go. So I'm going to go full bore as if these guys are doing the same.
Yep, tonight's game will be sponsored by Toradol. Think you feel pain? Come here. We'll take care of that for you. So anyway, there we are. And Nick, any concerns for you? And then we'll start diving into the big stuff here.
Yeah, kind of like what Terry was saying. The only person that I'm somewhat worried about is Tyreek Hill. Last week, he only played 18.7% of the snaps, but I think that was more of a cautionary move, right? They didn't expect to have a hard game up against the Broncos. So I think this week he'll be a full go tonight, even though everyone thinks this is a cupcake free win for them. I think Tyreek Hill will be in for a majority of the snaps, kind of like normal.
Yeah, that absolutely makes sense. All right, let's maneuver our way over here to FanDuel, which I didn't open. I didn't see. Did our lineup do anything there last night? I'm guessing no, but
I think it did not. I don't remember.
Nope, my balance hasn't gone any higher, and the games the lineups I have in there now not doing so well either. For the I played a lot of the full slate contest here, but I stacked the later the Monday night game on this particular version of my lineup. So we shall see. So let's cruise on in here. Terry, of course, we'll let you start off with the first selection. For those of you that are playing, there is the 2-game slates for tonight's game through Monday night's game. We, of course, will have live before lock Monday. We'll have the full suite of our usual Monday night football analysis regarding the shows. But we're going to come on in here and make a single slate lineup. Why is it so hard to navigate FanDuel? Why is it so hard? All right.
It's so much nicer than DraftKings. It's such a better.
Let's not even get started there. But
inner lineups on DraftKings, I can't find them for a half hour.
Everything you're saying, I'm rubber, you're glue. Whatever you say, that's the beast. Okay, so here we go. I'm opening up the Sunday squib. I'm jumping in here. It's we're playing on the blue side. What do you got for us, Terry? Half PPR, no defenses, yes to kickers, and then no premium for the multiplier. How we break this one down?
Look, I mean, we've got the one big name, obvious guy at the top that we could just plug into the captain spot and not worry about it with Patrick Mahomes. He's very pricey. 17.5 puts him, I believe, 3,000 ahead of the next highest guy on the board, which is Najee Harris. If we're looking at the most frequent top scorer rate, 54.8%, just absolutely annihilates everybody else on the board. 18.9% optimal in the captain role, negative 1.8 leverage with a 20.7% ownership. It's perfectly fine. It's advisable to play Pat Mahomes in that captain spot. That's the thing that everybody will quickly and easily do. So let's look around the board for a more interesting lineup to make so that we're not following the entire field down that path. So I'm going to poke around in the leverage column here. We could go oddball, and like the most positively leveraged players on the board are Harrison Butker, which I don't want to do here. Pat Freiermuth, who I do think is viable as the Steelers tight end, but that's not really where I think we should take this lineup specifically. But then we run right into Travis Kelce, 13,000. Only owned 8% of the time, coming up 9.6% optimal, 5.1% probability of being the top scorer. So better than a lot of the other skill players on the board, and a 1.6 positive leverage play. I kind of like going with Kelce here. So we're going to do that.
All right. That works out for me. Let's put in Travis Kelce here. Let's see. Nick, we're going to hand this one over to you here. What would you like to do?
Okay, well, since we took Travis Kelce, it would make the most sense to take his quarterback, Patrick Mahomes. A lot of debate this season on if this guy's even good or not. People were saying he was washed earlier on in the season, and then obviously that was incorrect. Patrick Mahomes is one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, if not the best. And I think tonight, up against the Steelers defense, unless TJ Watt really gets in there and sacks him like 5 times, he should really have no issue tonight. So I like Patrick Mahomes as our pick here.
All right. Let's go with Mahomes. I do want to point out that Mahomes was in the doldrums for a bit there in the latter third of the season. However, he did have 5 straight multi-touchdown games to end his year. However, the yardage was lacking, only 1 over 270 yards. He did average 35 pass attempts in those games. Of course, in some of those games, he was missing Hill, Kelsey to the COVID protocol, and then I believe they each were dinged up for one of the games as well, or the heel injury, etc. So we'll see what happens. He was still top 10 in most notable categories for quarterbacks, normal and advanced. I guess we've just set the bar high for one of the youngest NFL MVPs and Super Bowl MVPs as well. Terry, we're going back to you on this one. So here is my question. Would you consider rounding this out with the remainder being Steelers? Do on one of our builds, and I think DraftKings might be the better one if we don't do it here. On one of our builds, would we consider building for a Steeler victory?
Yes, I would do that on DraftKings, where you gain a lot of ground by playing Ben Roethlisberger in the MVP in the captain spot. It's kind of the same thing I was saying last night, and I know it didn't totally work out with the Mac Jones play, but that was kind of through no fault of Mac Jones for one. I mean, he was slinging the ball as much as he could. I think if they get a little bit of a different outcome on that first attempted touchdown pass where Nelson Aguilar didn't make a play on the ball and the ball got picked off, might be a different game that we're looking at, different outcome. But when you get a quarterback at a discounted price on that DraftKings slate, and we get into it a little bit more over there, it makes some sense to look to him just because of their ability to rack up points.
Hello.
No. I'm here. I just hit the wrong thing.
Okay.
All right, there we go. I see we're up. Okay, Terry, so you were eloquently saying that there's some merit to taking Ben Roethlisberger over there on DraftKings. We will be doing that when we do the build there because we're not going to build all 3 of these out as if there's going to be a Kansas City win. Back to you, Terry.
Yeah, so I'm not sure at what point the stream dropped out, but might be for the best based on everything that I was going through there. But yeah, I was talking about
says when you said Mac Jones, that's when the stream went belly up.
Yeah, Jordan was like, "No, I don't need to hear this again," and dropped the stream. So Yeah, look, it's that play. If you made that play last night, you were riding a thin line toward cashing on some of those lineups. But if a decent handful of the ones that I built with him in that role, because of everything else you can get to by virtue of his low salary in the multiplier spot, still cashed, had a shot at cashing. We're not trying to cash. We're trying to win these tournaments. So it didn't work out. But the strategy, the game theory behind the play still stands. Anywho, going back to the FanDuel board, because we do need to make a FanDuel pick. This isn't where I would look to drive into like a Steelers wipeout the rest of the way. I don't think we necessarily want to do that with this lineup, but we definitely need to get different with what we're doing here so far. So just looking at the board, I will go to a Steeler here. I think it makes some sense. Chase Claypool coming up only 13% owned, 14.2% optimal in the util spot. Looks perfectly fine to me. I think that's a decent little flex play that we can make here for 11 grand. It's kind of bananas that you can come out of a Kelsey Mahomes first 2 picks and still have 10 grand to spend across the remaining 3 positions, but that's where we're at. So I'll take Claypool for 11K here and put him in. That leaves you 92.50 to spend on each of the last 2 positions. We can get to a lot of different pieces.
All right, Nick, we're going back to you on this one here. So Kelsey, Mahomes, Claypool, do we round it out? We can't get Rodgers because that's 4,500. Let's look at the bottom here. So I'll throw out some of our potential discount dandies. Really nothing in the $5,000 range. You have Zach Gentry at 6,500. He sort of came into prominence there once Eric Ebron went down. He was getting 2 or 3 targets per game. He had his one good game. That was when Freiermuth was in the concussion protocol. We kind of think with Juju Smith-Schuster active, that's probably going to curtail anything there for James Washington. We have Benny Snell at 7,500. Ray McLeod, who at a minimum is still going to be returning kicks, both punts and kickoffs. He's 7,500. And then that gets us up to Freiermuth at 8,500. So we have 92.50 left to spend. That's kind of the range where we need to look at. Anything standing out to you there?
One of the biggest standouts for me is the king of the showdown slate, Byron Pringle. Last time he went up against the Steelers, he had 6 receptions, 7 targets, 75 yards, and not 1, but 2 scores in that game. So I like Byron Pringle here. He's not the most sexy name out there, but I like Byron Pringle tonight.
All right, Terry, with that, we are going to leave $1,000 on the table no matter what. Would you consider one of the kickers? Would you look to potentially a Jerick McKinnon as something does happen to Darrell Williams? Would you consider Freiermuth playing for a touchdown? How do you want to play this one out? Those are kind of the guys I think we want to pick from.
Kind of like the Freiermuth angle. He's been involved enough in that offense all through the season. The price is right at 8,500, leaves us with 2 grand on the table. A little bit of differentiation there. I don't love going to the kickers. Let me see where Butker's at on the board here in terms of our 2 to 5 scoring. That's probably the best way to evaluate it.
And while you're looking at that,
yeah, 21.7% probability for him to be a top 2 to 5, 24.5% optimal in the flex roll, 4.5% owned. He's just efficiently owned. Like Pringle, we get a nice little 1.9 leverage score, even with 25% of the field there. So if we go to Freiermuth here, we're getting a similar kind of play to what we got with Pringle with a slightly lower overall ownership, 21.3%, 21.6% optimal. He's also efficiently owned, but it's slightly lower than going to the kicker. And I think there's a little bit more point scoring upside in going to the tight end instead of going to a kicker here. So I'll go that route. I'll go Freiermuth.
All right. So that gives us Kelsey, Patrick Mahomes, Chase Claypool, Byron Pringle, and Pat Freiermuth.
Probably not a differentiated enough lineup, to be honest, to put into like a big field tournament. Like if you were playing that largest field tournament on FanDuel, this would probably be duped 10, 15 times.
All right. So I did want to call out some of the kicker information. So Harrison Butker is 11 of 13 from beyond 50 over his last 2 seasons. However, he does tend to get more extra points in field goal attempts due to the efficiency of the Kansas City offense. Chris Boswell, 8 of 9 from 50 or more this year, 90% rate or better each of the last 3 seasons. That's actually impressive because we know that, and I forget which side it is, but there's one of the end zones there in Heinz Field is a little tricky with some of the way some of the winds come in, or the general airflow within that. I want to point out that we do have, 7 free articles on the homepage right now covering just this game. 4 actually for betting. We have I've done a Yahoo one. I've done a FanDuel and DK breakdown. Matt Savoca has done a full deep dive breakdown into this. And then Terry, I'm sure you have your article up as well today.
Yeah, for the playoffs, or at least this weekend anyway, my Optimizer Groups articles ran Saturday for that Saturday main. I threw all the showdown games into that one, so they're going to run like that through the playoffs. So just look for the Sunday main one. Yep.
Excellent. All right. So I say chat wants to know, are we going to talk about Juju? So sure, let's use this moment to discuss him right now. So Juju Smith-Schuster somehow is more expensive than most of his counterparts there on Yahoo. If memory serves, I think he's 16 there. We don't know what his workload's going to be. We're assuming half the snaps, and we're assuming 2 or 3 targets. And I think that's the way to go. DK at 200, that's a steal. Not everybody, a large portion of the field is going to go there because of the recognizable name for that. But I think we need to think of him as a bargain bin baller here, for lack of a better term, or just coming out of the bargain bin. He has we don't know. We just don't know. He's been out since October 5th or week 5. I think maybe it was week 5 he got hurt. I can't remember for sure, but it was a shoulder injury. Yeah, it was a shoulder injury. So theoretically his conditioning is going to be there. They're not going to rush him back for any reason, but we don't know. Is he going to be a decoy? Is he going to be whatever? So I think it's going to impact James Washington the most, followed by Ray Mcleod. And from there, I don't think he's going to be on the field more than half the time. So I think that's about where it ends. DK at 200. Yeah, he just allows you to do pretty much anything else that you would like to, but we need to know that and know that a lot of other people are doing that. And if we end up maxing out our salary, it's not going to be unique. FanDuel, I just didn't really like it at half PPR. I mean, what are we projecting him for? Best case scenario, 4 catches, 40 yards. Is that
that's reasonable? I mean, if he sees 7-8 targets, 4 catches, I could even bump it up to 45, 50 yards, and a touchdown or 2 is possible, but I don't think that's what we're actually projecting. I think that's his ceiling is 80 yards and 2 TDs, but I don't think that's what we're going to get.
Right. And so through his 3, he got hurt through his first 4 games, starting in week 1, 8 targets, 4 catches, 52 yards, 7 targets, 6 catches, 41 yards, 4 targets, 3 catches, 25 yards, 8 targets, 2 catches, 11 yards. He hasn't gotten, aside from when he ran in a touchdown, he did not score over 6 fantasy points on full PPR. So clearly less than that on half PPR. We're hoping for a name. This isn't a gift from the gods. It's just, here's a super cheap player that probably should get a handful of targets. What happens with them, we don't know. So not to be the cold bucket of reality, but I am the cold bucket of reality. That's sort of how I'm approaching this one. All right. So moving on over here to Yahoo, Terry, my Yahoo says, let's all go to the lobby. So, hey, I will. That's always funny when it kind of glitches and it gives you that message. If you ever received that yet?
Yeah, I know.
All right. Let's put this in here because I don't know if I'm going to like the lineup or not. And I'll put it in the 15 if I like it, or I'm going to build my own and put it in the 15 because, sometimes I don't like what you guys do. But I think on this one here, we have Patrick
to keep cashing.
Patrick Mahomes. I know that's well played. Patrick Mahomes, $37. We have Deontay Johnson at 21, Darrell Williams at 17, Ben Roethlisberger at 22. You know what? I'm putting this one in the 15, and we're going with Darrell Williams as our superstar. We will not be alone in this, but that is the route we are taking. Terry, we'll let you go next.
I like that pick, by the way. Williams, the number 2 in the 2 to 5% score, but he's also number 2 in our salary weighted top scorer probability, 19.5% likely to be the top scorer in a salary weighted metric. Getting him in that captain spot for $17, I like that a lot. I think we can poke around the board here on the 2 to 5 rating. I'm just going to go right to another cheap guy who's probably going to be at least slinging the ball around and trying to make us remember him in his last game. I'll go with Ben Roethlisberger here, our number 1 on the board in terms of the 2 to 5 probability. That does have a wrinkle that Pat Mahomes has the monster score of being the most likely top scorer. So obviously that has an impact when we're starting that rating for 2 to 5 at 2. He's so frequently in the 1 that it knocks down his 2. So technically Mahomes is the number 2 here, or the most likely got to be a top 2 to 5 if you don't use him in that top spot. But I'm going to Roethlisberger for the savings and because I wanted to work him into a lineup here.
All right, Nick, it is up to you. We have $27 for each of our 3 remaining lineup slots. Half PPR, no kickers, but we do have defenses.
Okay, we're going to go with Deontay Johnson to pair with Big Ben. Deontay Johnson might be the only player on this slate that I could see getting 15 targets. That's something realistic for Deontay Johnson because Big Ben just locks into throwing this guy the ball. He has greatly improved from last season where he had just butterfingers every single play. I think he only has like 1 or 2 drops on the season. Quite impressive for Mr. Deontay Johnson, and I expect him to be the number 1 receiver on this team, just like he is every single week for the Steelers. And we do have Big Ben on our team, but if we didn't have Big Ben, I would say that Deontay Johnson's kind of immune to Big Ben having a bad game because even when he does, he just feeds the ball to Deontay Johnson so much that the targets just are so high. So I like Deontay Johnson tonight.
All right, Terry. So that leaves us with the final 2 picks here, $30 per. That means we get to take one of the, let's see, we could do Kelsey and Hill. If we take Mahomes, we don't get any of Kelsey, Hill, or Najee Harris. I think we want to take 2 of the 3 of Kelsey, Najee Harris, and Hill.
Yeah, I filled out the lineup just while Nick was making the Johnson pick. I clicked Johnson in there, and then it kind of naturally filled out with Kelsey and Najee Harris, and I kind of like the looks of that lineup. Okay. So that's probably the way I would go. I'm definitely going to enter that one.
Well, you will be tying someone because that is the lineup I wanted to go with also.
Well, there you go. I'm happy to chop 20K with you or whatever the prize is.
So our question becomes, do we drop down to Tyreek Hill and leave, and then we won't be alone, but do we leave more on the table? Okay, let's put it this way. Right now we're 2-2 for Steelers and for Chiefs. I like the idea of going to Harris just for differentiation. Do you think more people will say, I'll just leave $4 on the table, or would they leave $7 on the table and go with Hill if they were making this decision?
I think you're going to get a lot of repeats on both those builds, to be quite honest. I think probably the majority of people would go Kelsey and Hill here just because they think they're going to the better team and blah, blah, blah. And anytime you can get 2 superstars, you kind of do it. And I don't think people view Najee Harris on that same level as those 2 guys. So I would see more public clicks going to the Kelsey Hill. But I think in addition to you and me, I think a lot of other people would make that Kelsey Harris combination here as well. A lot of people probably do the same thing where you play both of them, just keep on cycling through the variants on these entries. I do think it's worth exploring the click on Mahomes here, though. At $37, that still leaves us $23. We could just as easily click on him, scroll down, put Byron Pringle to correlate with a pass catcher on his offense, leave $10 on the table, and have kind of a differentiated lineup that I still think has a decent amount of upside to it. So that's not totally wild. I think that would probably be a more unique approach than either of the 2 combinations of skill players.
Would you prefer a Pringle or a Freiermuth?
Probably a Pringle. I don't want to give too much weight to the
And just on the off chance something is up with Tyreek's heel, this gives us some built-in.
Yeah. So I kind of like that. I don't want to have to, I know Ben's in the lineup, but I don't want to have to give him 2 touchdowns and multiple receivers to throw him to. I think what Nick said about zeroing in on him and the connection with Deontay Johnson there makes a lot of sense. So that's kind of one way. There's nothing wrong with the Freiermuth build, and I would actually probably drop that in. I would probably take a Mecole Hardman build and drop the same one in with this, just as a variant of this same approach, and grab a few. If I'm building 150 lineups for this contest, I don't think there's anything wrong with any of those necessarily. It's just, if we're trying to get different, which one of these is the most different while retaining the most upside. So I think it might be that Pringle one.
Can we get an armpit superstar movie from EMac? But I got Jordan. What are you talking?
Superstar.
Is it that one?
I don't know that one. I don't know that reference.
I don't know. Is it what? Isn't it the Saturday Night Live skit?
Superstar? Probably. Mary Catherine Gallagher. Right? Yeah, Mary Catherine Gallagher, I think, was the character.
something along those lines.
Well,
there we go.
That's probably what he's talking about.
All right, that's just hitting chat now. They're gonna like that one. So. All right, Jordan Klein, come on, we do appreciate the super chats here from the finest producer in the business. All right, Terry, I just made a few different variations of that lineup. So, hey, we may meet up at the top again there, depending on what it is. And the reason I wanted to talk through that is last night we kind of thought that this Beasley would be less popular than Sanders. That wasn't true. Sanders was actually, or Beasley was more popular than Sanders, like 1.5 to 1, basically. I think it was Beasley was like 16%, 12 or 16%, and Sanders was like 10-ish or whatever it was, which was surprising to me. I thought we were going to be more unique in that one. Yes, Molly Shannon. All right. Okay, we're going to head on over here to DK. A couple things I do want to mention. I have dropped 10 $1 head-to-heads in the DK lobby team free money. It went 11-1 last night. Monster comeback there at the end. Sorry, Melissa, you lose. It was touch and go there for a while. I was looking really good on Yahoo and not so good anywhere else, but did have those lineups sneak in there for me at the end. But hey, they're out there. If you guys can't find them, let me know. I dropped them in a while ago, so sometimes those tend to fill a little more quickly if I'm not saying something, because people see my name and they just know if it's free money there. You know what you do get free money for? Prize Picks. Use the promo code Awesemo. They'll match you up to your $100 on your first deposit. Using the promo code Awesemo unlocks that. It also gets you access to 30 free days of Awesemo premium content. Once you have major deposits using our promo code, we will get an email within 24 to 48 hours from Prize Picks, and then we will send you a promotion code that gets you 30 free days of Awesemo premium content. If you're already a subscriber to Awesemo, just let that naturally flow through. It'll get to you, we promise. If you're a new subscriber and you want to kick it loose and get it sooner, reach out to support. But just know if you do that near lock, we're scrambling and doing a lot of things behind the scenes. We're probably not going to get to it, but trust me, we are going to get you those 30 free days, because that is very important to us, that you have, one, the opportunity to try out our content, and two, play at a great site over there with Prize Picks. All right, let's build out our DK lineup here, and then we will have some fun looking at Prize Picks. Let's see, Nick, we're going to start with you here. I am going to go over and see what we've got here and remember, we want to build. Was that enough of a we need to go Pittsburgh lineup here. So Nick, you don't actually get the first pick here.
Oh, that's messed up.
Well, then you know what? Maybe your Zoom can crap out again. Jordan can arrange
Jordan's
that.
Gonna kick me out. Yeah.
Trust me. So we're going with Ben Roethlisberger here because we are going to do things a little bit different. That is the only caveat we have. Now the board is yours.
Okay. So we went with Big Ben. I was personally, if it was my choice, I was going to say we can go with Najee Harris, but that's okay. You do you. So we're going to go Najee Harris anyways, the running back of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Since we're going Pittsburgh heavy here with this build, I think that it would have been pretty free square pick to take Juju. I assume one of you guys will do that, but Najee Harris is a very interesting piece here. We have seen him absolutely tear up defenses thus far this season. Now, he's not necessarily a guy that's going to potentially see 6-7 targets in a game, but if there ever was a game for that to happen up against the Chiefs, I believe they're going to be down in this game throwing the ball. I think Najee Harris will be a huge benefactor of that. I think he could have a very solid game here up against the Chiefs. So I'm going to go Najee Harris.
All right, Terry, off to you here for the next selection.
So let's see what we've got to work with. Look, we've got the Juju play in our pocket, so we can go to basically anybody that we want, right? We've got all this money to spend. Yeah. I think it just kind of makes sense to go with the double QB build, take Mahomes off the board here. He's 60% owned, but he's so likely to be one of the top 2 to 6 scorers that it kind of doesn't make sense to build this lineup without him. So I'm going to put him in the flex role here. He's still got a nice 8 leverage score in the flex role too. He's the third most positively leveraged play in the flex spot. So getting him out of that captain role and shifting him around the board just has its own value. But I think it's a good way to make sure that we're going to spend our money appropriately off that Ben savings as well.
All right. I want to see what happens if we do put in Juju, because that is going to see where we need to
7,500.
7,500. Okay. So that gives us some wiggle room.
Yeah. At that rate, everybody is still in play for the next pick.
Who we got right now?
I just put in Juju to see what would happen. So we're going to do this.
Yeah, with Juju there, you could go to Hill for $11K and still have money to spend. I mean, you can do basically whatever you want. If you go to Hill, you've got 4,000 left.
So we're Juju is the plug. I'm gonna put in Travis Kelce because I would like to be different here. Nick, we have 5,600. You can round it out for us. So we've got Claypool, Freiermuth, Pringle in the mix there. Again, another leverage play there off of Hill. You've got the kickers, Jerick McKinnon. This is a lineup where we don't have Williams in it. If we were to go McKinnon and come off of Juju Smith-Schuster, we really doesn't get us anything. We're looking at the Benny Snell, Zach Gentry. I don't think that is, now we're shooting ourselves in the foot in 2 spots instead of just 1. Wait, no, that was Plaxico Burress, former Steeler. I guess it wasn't his foot. Cheddar Bob, baby. Cheddar Plax. All right, so you got 5,600 there. I wonder how many people are going to get that one. Do you know that movie's like 20 years old now?
Which one?
8 Mile.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. I hadn't really thought about it. I've seen it a couple times. I was never a huge fan, but
it was a good song. The rap battles at the end were pretty fun.
Yeah. Oh, those scenes are good. I actually like the movie better than I like Eminem in general. So
yeah, but I just Cheddar Bob, Cheddar Plax. Yeah, there we go. Nick, 5,600. If you had one chance.
Only one opportunity.
Yes.
Yeah, we're to go with the boy Pat Freiermuth. My main man Dawson Knox paid off bigly last night, as they would say. He played amazing in that game. So we're to go with Mr. Freiermuth. And even Terry's got it written down. So that's what we're going with. Now,
that's my Karnak.
All right. So we love to see it. I love tight ends on showdown slates. And Freiermuth is one of the more reliable options on the team that he does look for in the red zone, especially. So I think he has a pretty solid shot to score tonight. Again, I think they are going to be coming from behind. That sounded weird, but yeah, Freiermuth.
I could go a variety of directions here. That would be glorious, and it would be my last show here on Awesemo.com. So we are going to not do that.
That was such a layup of a Nick pick, though. I mean, it gets us to a 2 tight end build. It gets him to Freiermuth, who he likes in this Pittsburgh offense. That leaves a 200 on the table. I mean, I really like that pick too. I think it rounds his lineup off nicely. I think we built a really interesting, cool little lineup here. But man, that was the layup of the year for a Nick pick.
I love the tight ends, baby.
Yes, most definitely there. Most definitely. All right. I'm going to enter that in a couple lineups or in a couple contests because I think that is really good. Hopefully you guys got in on the team free money lineups. Just put in chat if they're empty. I'll put a few, I'll just put another 7 in there. Like you got to keep these odd numbers here so I can tell if I win or lose. If it's ever close. Nobody duped me last night. That was the other crazy thing in that one. All right, so
that's as much of a win as you can get.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've got 8:15 is kickoff tonight. So we have about 20 minutes and a tick there. Nick, I'm going to hand this back over to you. Anything that you wanted to mention from the Pittsburgh side of things that we didn't cover? I mean, we know Najee Harris, phenomenal rookie season. He only played 60% of the snaps last week. Benny Snell ended up getting a little bit of work, but outside of that game, and I don't even know if Benny Snell actually got a touch to tell you. Did he in that game? Maybe he had like 10. But I wanted to say 90% of the production at the running back position has gone to Najee Harris. It is not even close at this point in that one there. So what would you like to do, or what would you like to tell us with the rest of this story here for Pittsburgh?
Yeah, so someone I wanted to bring up, I brought him up pre-show, is Ray Mcleod. Now, again, with Juju coming back, this could completely throw the dagger into Ray Mcleod's upside. He's only a guy that was playing around 60% of the time, 70% of the time every game without Juju Smith-Schuster. But if you're playing on DraftKings with the amount of targets that he could potentially receive here, I think he's an interesting play. I'm not sold in on the fact that Juju is going to take away all of his upside, but it's not as fun of a play. Obviously, if Juju was not playing tonight, I would have probably talked about playing Ray Mcleod in every single lineup because he's just seems like a mainstay in this lineup for the Steelers, but maybe with Juju back, that could hamper that. And besides that, again, like you said, Najee Harris is really the only running back you want to play on the Steelers unless you build your lineup around the fact that he ends up getting hurt or something, but I would never do that. I don't root for injuries here.
And the Juju versus Ray versus James Washington spot is a little interesting on the Yahoo slate, where they actually priced Juju up, like EMac said before. He's $16 on the Yahoo slate, so he's more expensive than Mecole Hardman, than Freiermuth, than Byron Pringle, inexplicably. And then you look down, if you need a $10 player, you've got James Washington, you've got Ray McLeod, and not a lot else. Demarcus Robinson, I should throw into that mix as well from the other side of the game. But if you're looking for a Steelers receiver at that dead minimum, you've kind of got to go to one of those guys. I think out of the two, it makes a lot of sense based on what Nick was saying to go to Ray over James Washington. But those are really your only min-priced options over on Yahoo. So it at least makes them interesting from that angle.
All right. Jordan Klein, who the guy who gave us the $5, I sent him a direct $1 head-to-head because, he likes to play for pride. 5 more of those. If you beat me, you can get it. Send another super chat here, and I will do something else silly just for you on air. All right. Terry, down the other side there, what do we got from the Kansas City side that we are anything else you wanted to hit on before we head over to Prize Picks that could be a unique wrinkle, a different way of looking at things here? Any stones that need to be turned over?
I mean, it's worth mentioning that you can get some nice positive leverage on Byron Pringle in the captain role on DK if you want to go to the skill player in the captain role build, but you want to avoid the heavyweight, the negative leverage on a Hill, on a Kelsey. You're getting to the next best option in that offense, in that passing attack anyway. And he's only 4,800 in the in the base salary. So multiply it out. His salary doesn't have the same impact that going to like a Hill or a Kelsey or somebody like that. Even a Deontay Johnson on the other side of that game, even like a Freiermuth or a Najee Harris, he's the cheapest out of what I would consider the premium skill players that are available. Yeah, I think that's actually the case. So I would be comfortable going to him in that captain spot a little ahead of where the field is. Only 3.3% of the DraftKings field is going to him, leaves him with a nice 3.7 leverage score. Our leading leverage captain on the DraftKings slate comes up 7% optimal over there. So just somebody to consider as kind of a differentiator with some upside and ceiling score utility to it.
All right. So I see we have a nice question in the YouTube chat, and they're saying, and I want to hit on this one. So they're saying, hey, how would you feel about Gore over Williams? No, there's no reason to do that. Now, here are the reasons why you would do that. You would do that if you think that the toe is going to become an issue. You would do that if you think the toe is kind of an issue and Kansas City gets up. They are favored by 2 scores. If that happens early, then perhaps you see some Derek Gore work. The same thing can kind of be said for Jerick McKinnon. I don't think we see a lot of Jerick McKinnon. I think he scored last weekend, but and he's had a moment here or there in the red zone, but he's more or less the direct backup, I think, if Williams were to go out mid-game. But if it's late game stuff, that's the only time I really think we're going to see Gore. The other game where we kind of were surprised, he basically did the vast majority of his work on 2 drives. And it was just sort of Andy Reid just literally went with the hot hand approach. And we and all of the tout sites took a lot of crap on Twitter about not even having him projected or not even in our player pool. You know who did have him in their player pool? Nobody. All of the main sites. Matthew Berry even tweeted like, oh my God, I don't even know who this guy is. Football Guys didn't have him in there. The stalwarts that have been now around forever, like nobody had him live in that one. Sometimes weird stuff's going to happen like that, not in the playoffs, unless it's going to be really, really weird. And even at that point, I still think it would be Jerick McKinnon. But it's a good question. We're trying to find that differentiation. We see something silly from time to time where people, all of a sudden you're like, why'd they play that person? It could happen. Highly unlikely. It's very difficult to see paths where that comes to fruition, and there's still enough time left in the game for him to get a path to 7-8 fantasy points without scoring a touchdown. Anything else you want to add to that, Terry? I know you think a lot about this stuff too.
Yeah, I think that's totally right. I don't think I would be looking to pivot into Derek Gore shares here necessarily. He saw a handful of touches over the last few weeks, but that was with no McKinnon. I think McKinnon is the more proven, more skillful guy in this offense, and the guy that they would look to in a situation where they couldn't go to Darrell Williams any longer. But I think with Williams healthy out there, he's going to be the focal point. So I'm not really looking to shop that around too much. Something that's interesting, going back to Yahoo just one more time, I was clicking around on just different builds that you can make over there. And if you're looking for a Chiefs wipeout on Yahoo, you can literally play I mean, you can't because of the rules, right? But you can put all 5 of their premium players, Pat Mahomes, Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill, Darrell Williams, and Byron Pringle, into one lineup for the exact price that you have, for the exact salary that you have. So take out one of Williams or Pringle, you can play the 3 premium Chiefs with a combination of guys like Chase Claypool and guys like Pat Freiermuth, and you could do like a McCole Hardman and Pat Freiermuth combo. You can mess around with so many different combinations while playing 4 or 3 of the premium Chiefs over there. If you believe in the Chiefs wipeout, you should be able to find a pretty solid lineup on the Yahoo slate today.
What the better version of wipeout, Jan and Dean or the Fat Boys?
Not sure.
Tough call. Nick has no idea what we're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, the best wipeout I've seen is that TV show on ABC.
The TV show, there we go.
Yeah, that's what I thought we were gonna go into there. I didn't know we were going to the Fat Boys.
All right, I think it was the Fat Boys that did it. Yeah, Disorderlies.
There you go.
My brother rented that a few times from the video store. Yeah, it's my brother. All right.
Staple of HBO in like the late 80s, early 90s.
Yeah, it was on a lot. So one thing I want to remind everybody was Super Wild Card Weekend Super Wild Card Weekend is what we're doing. We still have one left. It's Monday. You can get the Awesemo Express package for just $1. It has all of our showdown contests for all of the playoff games. This lasts for 1 week. The 1 week package, that is just $1. Promo code is Super Wild. That expires tomorrow at midnight. But you'll get all the showdown projections, single game contest stuff that we have, player rankings, the ownership percentages, all of that stuff. So definitely want to check that out. And then we're going to talk some prize picks here, 14 minutes till lock. So you guys want to put your lineups in, now would be the time to do it. We do want to mention that prize picks, you get a $100 deposit match by using the promo code Awesemo. And you will also get 30 free days of Awesemo premium content if you sign up using our promo code, the double whammy, if you will. All right, passing yards here, Nick and Terry. Patrick Mahomes, prize picks had him at 270.5. Awesemo says 291. I mentioned that that is a number that Mahomes has only exceeded once in his last 5 games. How are you feeling about that one, Terry? Are we taking the over here?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to be overly concerned about the last couple of performances. I think, if it's going to be coming out here firing on all cylinders, playoffs, wanting to put away an inferior opponent pretty early. If we're looking at our probability marks, we've got him 292.71 coming in 59% of the time on the over. I think I heard you say that was a little bit lower on prize picks.
Yeah, it's 270.5.
Yep. So against a 270.5 line, the one we have on the site was 278.5. So since we're comfortably over that one, I am even more comfortable getting over the prize picks line. I like that one a lot.
All right. Nick, Ben Roethlisberger, 215.5. Awesemo has him for 235. How are you feeling about one last Big Ben hurrah? We do want to point out that he has failed to eclipse 200 yards in 3 of his last 4 games while averaging almost 37 attempts in those games. That's hard to do. He's not even making up for it on volume. It's a sad day, Nick. It's a sad day. What do you want to do? 215.
I mean, the guy threw 44 times last week and barely got over. He didn't even get 250 yards. He threw 46 times against Cleveland and had 123 yards. But you know what? It is his last ride. I'm going to believe it's going over. Just straight based off the narrative. I think he's going to get it.
All right. And also playing while down is going to help.
Playing from behind, if you know what I'm saying.
Hey. Careful there. It is Ben Roethlisberger.
Look, all right. There is something to that volume in that passing game, though, right? You can only not throw for a lot of yards while throwing 44 times so many times before you happen to throw for a bunch of yards while throwing 44 times. I mean, just based on the volume alone, I think we can chase some of those at least a little bit comfortably. And that's why I'm also still invested in Roethlisberger at these cheap prices on the DFS sites. It just makes sense to go to some of that passing volume and hope that you capture the right night. And in the last night of the guy's career, this has to be the right night, right?
That would be Terrence James McBride mentioning the do factor.
James,
the do factor. Well, I'm guessing it was James or Michael. I didn't know.
It's solid. It's Michael.
Okay. I guessed wrong. I was close. I was going for a good Catholic name. Almost got it. Almost got it. All right. Najee Harris, 60.5 rushing yards on Prize Picks, 67 on Awesemo. Nick, where are you landing on this one? And I've only put up about 8 or so picks. The rest were too close to call. So we're just calling out the ones that are good for you. If you want to look at these other ones, go over to oddshopper.com. In the upper, it's free for you. In the upper left, click on Shop NFL Odds, and then you can even just sort by this game on the left side. It'll bring up all of the props. Use the sort feature that shows you highest expected win. You don't care about ROI here on Prize Picks. All it is about the win. We build out our cards with 2, 3, 4, or 5 questions. The more you put in, the more you get right, the higher the payout. They have some flex plays there as well. If there is a tie, or if your player doesn't set foot on the field, like someone, say Taysom Hill, who just stands there and holds the clipboard, they just take that out of your card. A 5-question card becomes a 4-question card, 3 becomes a 2. If you had a 2-question card, they'll give you your money back, but they're not going to invalidate a card or count it against you. They want you to have a good user experience. So Najee Harris, Nick, 60.5 rushing yards. Awesemo has him for 67.
Yeah, I like the over on that, but I'm a little bit more comfortable if we were to just take him once, obviously, like you can. I would rather take his receiving yards. I assume we're going to talk about that later, but I like that number a little bit better because, again, I think they're going to be playing from behind and they're going to be throwing the ball a little bit more to Najee rather than running the ball. But the number at 60.5 is pretty low to me, so I think he should be able to get that.
All right. I actually did not pull up his receiving yards, so let's look at those right now. Going directly to the site, he is 18.5. I'm sensing you want the over on that based upon your thoughts that he gets a lot of checkdowns.
Yes, I love the 18.5. I think he could easily get over 40 receiving yards in this game.
Okay. Terry, are you feeling the love there for the receiving action?
Yeah, I think that's a pretty low receiving yardage mark. I'm getting fired. I am feeling good about receiving action. Yes. I also think the receptions, I was actually a little surprised. I clicked over to the receptions board at 4.5 in our numbers. It's a 67% likely to go under the 4.5. We've got him projected for 3.95 receptions. I'm not sure what it is over on Prize Picks. I'd be curious about that one. But that was one I'm actually surprised to see it so low because he is a guy who does get fairly regular targets. Saw 94 targets in 17 games on the season, caught 74 balls. So it's not like he's a guy who doesn't receive the ball frequently. It's more that he's a 4.97 yards per target guy. He turned in 499 no, never mind. Sorry, I was looking at the wrong number. 6.7 yards after the catch per reception. So he's a decent after the catch guy. He's getting a lot of these just, little dump out passes from Ben. And if you make something happen with one of them, I think we're there on the yardage one. So I like that one a little bit better now that I'm looking at where Alex has him on the receptions one.
Yeah, so he is actually 4 even on that. So it would be a push. It's not 4 or more. It's 4 even. That would be the push. Like I said.
Yeah, I think since the yardage one is so low and we really only need him to take one pass, a decent amount of yards with his ability after the catch, I think that's the preference there than the yardage one.
All righty. Let's see here. Rushing yards, Patrick Mahomes, 16.5. We have him for 27.5.
For Mahomes?
Yeah, I don't like his rushing props, but we're way over. I mean, we know he's nimble. He doesn't necessarily run, especially after he signed that $500 million contract and he had got his bell rung before he signed it. So we know why he's not necessarily running a lot. He is capable of, buying time in the pocket. We just need one good scramble. Do you want to roll the dice on that, Nick?
Oh yeah, definitely. Last week he had over 50 rushing yards.
Yeah.
So he's a guy that definitely runs the ball. Not a lot, obviously, but if it's open, he's going to run 25 yards the week prior, 0 the week prior to that. Against the Steelers last time they played, he had 0 rushing yards, but I think it is entirely possible. And like you said, or at least what I remember you saying, is all it really takes is one run for him to get over that number.
All right. Terry, looking down here at, let's see, the Deontay Johnson one, 57.5 receiving yards. Awesemo has him at 67. That felt like one that might be worth going over.
Deontay Johnson, let's see. Yeah, it looks like we've got him 66.86 now, and the line on the site that we were comparing to was 60.5. We had him going over, but only 53% of the time, since that's a little bit of a tight number. What was the Prize Picks one? I think
it was 57.5.
57.5. So we gain a little bit of ground taking 3 yards off the top, but it's not really a massive difference there. I don't love it, but I think needing to fill out a card, it would be one that I'm comfortable going to. 53% on the 60.5, call it, 55, 56%, or a little better than a coin flip, but that's kind of what we're working with on this slate in a lot of these spots.
All right. How about Chase Claypool? He is at 4 receptions. Most of the books have him at 3.5. And Awesemo is pushing for the under at 3.1 expected catches.
Yeah, it looks like we've got Claypool firmly under, which for my few DFS shares where I chased that Steelers lineup, I don't love that idea because I was going to him as the under-owned Steelers option.
Maybe he runs one in, Terry. Come on.
Yeah. Look, that could happen. We need the wacky things to happen anyway. But 3.03 projection for the receptions. 4.5 was the line on the site we were comparing to. That's the best win rate we have for an under among the receptions count. That's an 82% at 4.5. So figure if it comes down a little bit based on a 4, it's still pretty strong. So I'm comfy going to that one.
All right. I've got my lineups uploaded. I still got 7 head-to-heads that I put out there in the
That's free
DK
money.
$1 team free money. While I was 11-1 last night, I was basically had a 10% win rate over the prior 3 showdown slates. It definitely is team free money. Go jump on in there on the DK lobby. That is username EMac. Fantasy points, rounding this out, Patrick Mahomes, 21 fantasy points on Prize Picks. Awesemo has him for 25.3. Nick, they're tempting us with the overs here. How are you feeling about that? Does Mahomes come out of the doldrums?
You know what? Since we've taken over on basically everything, we're just going to go over again.
No
wonders tonight.
We're going to get one here. So to quickly, we did with Chase Claypool, but to quickly discuss this, Prize Picks knows people want to go with the overs. They're kind of going to shade things a little bit towards the unders because it's more fun to root for. There are times where we're going to find stuff where we want to hit the unders. We've done that particularly with like 7th and 8th men that somehow on the NBA rotations have some props up there, which they do. And someone has come back from COVID or another injury and is probably going to slot in and take their time, or if it's a different matchup and we know that they're probably going to be the one that sees the short end of the minutes. So there are opportunities to go low. Here's one here. Mecole Hardman. Prize Picks has him at 32.5. Awesemo has him for 25.2. Terry, you want to dance with the devil in the pale moonlight?
Well, yes, I do, Jack. Let's see here. It's a 25.5 on the line that we're comparing to we're talking about receiving yards for Hardman, yeah?
Yes.
Yeah, it's a 25.5. We had him projected on this last run at 33.47, which was
so
56.
We upped it then. Okay.
We did up it a little bit, but it's 56% likely to go under the 25.5. We're at a 20 on Prize Picks?
It was at 27.5.
27.5. So, if we're calling it 56% likely to go under 25.5, let's bump that up to like 60% likely to go under.
It's now moved. So Hardman. So when I first took it,
still going under.
It was 32.5. So I want to point out, these are not static lines. They will adjust them if they start hitting them. It was 32.5. They dropped it to 27.5. Now it's at 23.5. So that was one where I thought we could find the other. Another sport where we're basically get your lineups uploaded. We are less than 2 minutes away from lock. We're in the 90-second range. We don't want to pull an Eric Lindquist and meltdown on the slate. I say that because he's in chat right now. So hi, Eric, how you doing? Shouldn't you be recording the Slate Starter podcast? You've got work to be done here. So the one thing that we want to remember is when we start looking at these college football bets, Ben and Matt Kajeski would do their show on Wednesdays, and we would see rushing totals come down by 20 or 30 yards or go up by 20 or 30 yards. We'd see quarterback passing yards go up or down by 50 yards. So if you can get in on some of these early, you're going to want to grab them. This is not a static line. While it did not come to fruition, we thought the Ezekiel Elliott had a 40-ish rushing yard total, and Kittle had about a 40-ish receiving yard total, those started to tick up a little bit today. So these things will move, but they're not volatile is a better way of saying it. So if you see something you like, pounce on it. It's not going to be there forever if it is an incorrect line. The other thing that you'll find when you use the Awesemo projections, or if you look at Odd Shopper, a lot of times our projections are going to be more aggressive, higher or lower than the rest of the industry. So while we do keep an eye on where the rest of the industry is, we don't normalize our projections towards where everybody else is landing. Of course, you've got the governing factor of what's the score of the game going to be? What do we think the total yards are going to be? You know, if you add up all the receiving yards, it better not be more than your quarterback, right? We do all of that. But the reason that Alex and Steve Buzzard and Sean's on and all these guys behind the scenes that are now the ones doing all of our projections have been so successful is they're willing to make educated guesses and make stance, because they are putting in all of the heavy lifting for usage rate and what happens when it's this lineup and what if we think the game's going to play like this and is this considered in it, etc. That will change our numbers a little bit. So it doesn't mean our numbers are wrong, because as many times as we are running higher, we are running lower on, you know, we're making some stance here. The error bar is probably plus or minus 10 or 15%. So it's not completely egregious by any stretch. But a lot of times you'll see some stuff like you'll go look at one and go, oh my God, Awesemo thinks it's going to be way over. Let me go look at my other two favorite sites, and they're 10 or 15 yards less and closer to what the number is. Okay, which would you rather have? Everybody going on fractions, or someone saying, hey, I think it's this, or I think it's this? I want the second one here. I want someone else doing the heavy lifting. Final thoughts, Terry, before we get on out of here at 8:15.
It's been a weird, strange ride with Ben Roethlisberger. It's going to change the NFL to see him go and have somebody else in the quarterback role for the Steelers, but it'll probably benefit that receiving core big time next year. Would benefit my lineups tonight if Ben has one last good game in him. Don't really like the guy that much, but kind of need him tonight. So let's go, Ben.
All right. Nick, any final words you want to say to Eric Lindquist?
Oh, little buddy. He always calls me that, which is funny. But yeah, thank you guys all for watching today. And I do like Darrell Williams a lot, even though it already locked. Was going to be what I was going to say about Prize Picks, but you guys were talking, so I didn't want to butt in, you know.
That's all right. Respect your elders. That's why we like you, Nick. That's why
exactly.
We like you.
I'm very respectful of you guys.
All right. With that, it's dinner time. I think I'm going to have some pizza. I'm not sure what Jordan Klein is going to have, but I know what I'm going to be eating. Hope you guys all had some fun. We're starting it all over again tomorrow, 6:30. Josh Engelman with the process, and then it's going to be our usual Monday shows for Monday Night Football and the usual NBA stuff, except it's MLK Day, so the schedule is going to be a little fluid because games lock at 12:30 tomorrow. There's like 3 separate slates, so we will have content for all of that. So jump on in there and have some fun. With that, gamers, good luck.